You know that feeling when you've spent hours upon hours working on a character design and something about it just feels off? The crazy thing is that a lot of artists get this backwards because they miss one very simple and foundational thing. In the next few minutes, I'm gonna share exactly what that is, but I'm gonna also share my exact approach to character design that helped me take my work from struggling with my work to creating character designs for mobile gaming studios and book publishers and many other clients. But first, if you're new to this channel, my name is Joel Santana, and I have been working professionally in the illustration industry for about 17 years now. I've had the opportunity to work with clients like Disney, mobile gaming studios, book publishers, and many more. I started this channel to share my experiences, share some of my tips, in hopes that a lot of the things that I share will help you draw closer and closer to your goals and creating the work that you were created to make. So what is that key thing that I find that most or artists that want to get into character design miss? I think that many times we want to just sit down and start sketching. A lot of times we just want to get that pencil to the paper, whether it's digital or in your sketchbook, and we just want to start creating. But I found that many times in my experience, when I've wanted to create a character that is well crafted, that looks professional, something that I'm going to want to put in my portfolio. And when I went ahead and just sat down and started sketching, I'd sit down and just start sketching without giving it too much thought. And then eventually that sketch turned into a drawing, and then that drawing eventually became a painting. And then I would just kind of wrestle with that painting until I got it to a point that I was happy, only to find myself hours later absolutely despising everything that I created. Like despising the design, just not liking the character and
I hate you, hate you, hate you, hate you so much.
feeling like something is off. So in other words, hours upon hours just straight to the trash. And I would say that this was always almost every time. This was because I missed that one thing, that one foundational thing that I didn't consider before I started sketching. And that is, who is this character? What's their story? What is it that you want this character to communicate to the audience? What's the first thing that you want people to think when they look at your character? I often tell younger artists that you have to kind of imagine yourself as a director. You have to imagine yourself as a casting director. What a casting director does is that they cast the actor for their movie, for their story. And so you have to visualize yourself like that. You're trying to find the right actor to fit into your story, the story that you're trying to create. You might think of it as, oh, I'm just designing a cool character, but this character, especially if you want it to feel believable and professional, should feel like he or she is part of a world that they live in and interact with. So before considering what this character even looks like, you have to think about who they are. Who is this character? Before you could decide on paper what they look like, you first have to decide in your mind who they are. It's easier, like say if you were going to draw your mom or somebody that you know, your uncle, your cousin, a grandfather, it's easier to design that person because you know things about them. You know their characteristics. You know things that they like, things that they don't like. You know the kind of clothes that they might wear and things that they don't wear. So for me, I had to develop a character for a course that I created. If you're enjoying this video and you're interested in learning more about my creative process, check out my new character design course with over 6 hours of video lessons, PDF guides with drawing tips, and my favorite brushes pack. I've helped over 30,000 students learn digital painting for characters, and I would love the opportunity to help you further your art skills. Check it out at imagemakersociety.com. The link is also available in the video description below. Now back to the video. And the character for me was inspired by a Bible scripture. It's a scripture in the Bible where Jesus talks about a poor widow who didn't really have much to give, but she gave everything that she did have. And I've read this scripture a bunch of times. I've read it many times before, but for some reason this time, maybe because I was just thinking about about characters and things like that, this time it just really stood out to me, and I started to wonder, what kind of person was this widow? I started to really think about the actual, a lot of times we just read these things, but I started to really wonder who this person was and what they might look like. Being as I was in this mindset of coming up with a character, I started to like just make note of that. I started to write down what are some of the things that character traits that she might actually have. And for one of the main things that came to mind was humble. The fact that when she gave without a big show. She gave in contrast to some of the other people that were mentioned that were giving out of, they were almost like making a big show out of that, out of their giving. Whereas for her, I would imagine that she probably didn't think that anyone would even notice the contribution that she was making. Another thing that we could say about this character is her faithfulness. The fact that she was willing to give everything that she had showed that she had a lot of trust in God and knowing that He would provide in every area of her life. And I feel like this act, this giving generously the way that she did, it shows the personality. It shows someone as it shows her as somebody who it's more than just words for her. She's actually putting into action and saying, I'm gonna do this because I know that He is a good God and that He's going to provide in my life. So these are all things that in writing them down and taking note of it, it helped me get into the right mindset, into the proper mindset when coming up with an authentic, believable character. So for you, I would say, what might you be working on? Is it a hero that needs to seem confident and trustworthy? Is it a villain that you're trying to evoke like uneasiness and fear? Is it a funny character, a character that should seem silly and humorous? So in other words, the design needs to serve their function, and this basic understanding is what's gonna help you make decisions along the way. Everything from the structure, the character silhouette, the color palette, and even costume design decisions that you make. All of this is going to be so much easier for you to do once you've decided and defined what that character personality is. I know that one of the main questions that artists always ask, and this is almost in anything, whether you're talking about what I'm talking about now, or anatomy, painting, whatever it is, they always ask, how long should I spend on this? So I would say that with this, maybe half an hour. I don't think you have to spend days and weeks, trying to figure everything out. I don't think you have to go back to, when this character was 5 years old, they fell off of a tree, and then this, like, you don't have to do all of that. I don't need a backstory and all of these things. You just have to try to define that character personality. Let's say that you decided to design a villain. You have to ask yourself, well, what kind of villain? Because there's a lot of different kinds of bad guys. So is it like a brute, muscular, big, like Viking? Or is it a skinny, intelligent, evil scientist? Those are two bad guys. If you think about even like pirates, you have Captain Hook, but you have so many other forms and variations of what an evil pirate could look like. So again, depending on the personality, and in many cases also the style of the cartoon or the film, that's what's going to help you kind of determine what your villain or your hero or whatever type of character that you're designing, what they are going to look like. When you let purpose guide your design, you're not just drawing another cool character, you're actually taking this character and bringing him to life. In the end, if you think about some of your favorite characters, they're not just well-drawn characters. You don't look at it and you don't connect with the character just because you think it's just a cool-looking character. You connect with the character because you understand that character. You understand why they're doing what they're doing. When you look at a movie like Ratatouille and you see that he's, with this mouse, and you're not looking at him thinking, man, that's a really cool character design. You're connecting with him because you're like, wow, he just wants to be the best that he can be at this. Like, he just wants to be really good at this. So I do hope that you found that helpful. And if you did, I do hope that you subscribe if you're interested in just learning more tips on how to elevate your art. And let me know in the comments below, do you have a character that you're working on, and what is their personality? What's their purpose? What's the idea, the story behind the character? So I hope this video blessed you. I thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on the next one. Keep the fire alive, my friends.